Hi everyone, welcome to the Superhuman Switch, a mind-body business empowering podcast guaranteed to switch your superhuman levels on. I'll be talking with corporate executives, startup owners, and business founders who are striving to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'm your host, Saf. Today I have Jess Machalani. Hi Jess.
Hello.
How are you? Jess is a marketeer by heart for more than 15 or 16 years, I believe,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
In 2007, she joined OMD, one of the leading and global communication agency, and she's been managing multinational brands and global brands in different industries. We're gonna chat about her passion about sport, especially powerlifting, cycling, diving, basketball, and outdoor activities. So Jess, welcome to the show. Welcome to Superhuman Switch.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Really
Yeah.
happy to be here.
It's really cool to start with the chat about basically your background a little bit,
Yeah.
just to give the audience a little bit of context and to share with us your career progression, because I think you moved in Dubai in 2007, correct?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and since then you've been like marketing, handling, as we mentioned, multiple brands on different spectrum and different spaces.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you were taking care of your health. This is basically where we met together.
Yeah.
And Desert Bubble, we are doing powerlifting, and I was really fascinated by the spectrum and the holistic approach to your health. So let's start
you.
with this one.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of background, as you know, I started everything in terms of sports with basketball. So I started playing basketball back when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I played across different clubs. Professionally in the first أول درجة الأولى basketball on my national team, I think for about 6 to 7 years before I moved to Dubai. So that was like my main sport and my passion and who I thought I was going to be,
Amazing.
For the rest of my life. It was like my, childhood dream. And then obviously when I moved here, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. Just for everyone to know, like, my history in studying was I did business, but I was focused on finance and economics.
Okay.
So when I got here, I met a few people. There's quite a big community and a lot of friends here. And they told me, hey, we have a few friends that are working in these agencies. You should try it out. And I never thought ever that I would ever end up in marketing or advertising. Like that was never part of my, ideas for my future.
Okay.
So I went in for like an interview. It was very random. And I think they told me, yeah, you know what, come in for an interview, we'll talk to you, we'll get to know you, and, we'll see what we can do from there. And I think I spent 3.5 hours at OMD. I spoke to 4 or 5 different people. I did a tough math test. I had no idea what I was getting into. And so like talking to these people, the way, the questions they asked, the challenges they were asking me to solve were very interesting. And I felt like I connected a bit with who they were, with the industry, although I didn't have a clear idea of what I was going to do.
Okay.
And the math test, I did well. I was good at math, chemistry, biology, all this stuff. So that was okay. And then, I'm like, oh, that was nice. I like these people. I like this company. And then I forgot about it. I was on vacation.
Okay.
Left. I got a call 2 weeks later. Hey, Jess, this is, person X. I'm like, okay, like, I'm not sure. He's like, from OMD. I'm like, oh. He's like, hi, Jess. I'm like, hello. I'm here to tell you got the job. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm really happy. And, since then, I never looked back. I've been there for 15 years. Like you said, managed so many different clients globally, locally, regionally. And I think it was an amazing experience. Like any relationship, there's always ups and downs. And it's about how you manage that.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
The interesting part that you were not sure exactly what direction you need to follow.
Yeah.
And you became more, of course, with the skills that you have, you were able to excel in this industry, in this space.
Yeah.
Which is, actually, I'm a bit familiar from the client side.
Yeah.
I know how challenging this business is, especially, I think around 2007 till 2010, it was really challenged to make sure that how you work with the specific clients and how you deliver basically on the campaigns, especially on the campaigns.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's let's speak about basically when you joined this I would say career path.
Yeah.
And what are the first challenges that you faced to understand how these work from a marketing side?
Yeah. So I think obviously in university, I went to AUB. They never taught us what a media plan is, what media is, how to buy media, how to optimize. All of these things were super new. And I felt like initially that was very hard for me to understand.
Okay.
Like we studied marketing, like from the client side of things, you know, but never from the media side of things. Like how do you get an ad seen? How do you create a strategy for a brand based on its objectives? How do you deliver? What are the things you need to optimize against? So this was the challenging part. But the second you understand how things work, and the second you start understanding how consumers work and what you need to look at, then, you know, things just start clicking. It's like a puzzle, right? There are certain, you know, rules of engagement that you start understanding, and everything just becomes flowy depending on the client you have, the objectives. You're able to create, you know, innovative strategies, creative ideas, activations that can, you know, really, you know, be fun at times and help you kind of deliver the work.
And based on these, or basically this outcome, what made you fall in love with marketing? I think it's because I'm sure that a lot of ups and downs, but is it the outcome or the process, or what is it?
For me, you know, like I've had this debate before, and it was never the outcome, because when you get to the outcome, you're like, okay, now what's the next outcome? What's the next goal? What's the next step? So for me, it was always the process. And at OMD, for me, it was always the people. I think we have an amazing culture. We have awesome, smart, intelligent people that you get to work with, that become your friends and family. And working with in that environment, at least for me, obviously helped me grow and like coming to work and like doing my job and like working with others and trying to continuously improve and raise the bar, because I was in a healthy environment. Obviously, like there is, like you said, there's an insane amount of pressure. And it all depends on how you're able to manage that pressure. You can either let it break you, or you can see it for what it is. It's just pressure. And I'm going to do my best. And, you know, that's it. So it's a mind game at the end of the day when it comes to pressure. You're like, some people really take it in and let it consume them. On the other hand, you have the option to look at it and say, you know what? I know that this is happening. There's nothing I can do about this. But what I can control is my delivery and my output. And how well can I manage my time and my life to be able to do the best work I can? And this is basically how I approached it and how I grew.
I was going to mention ask you about the working culture. I think you mentioned a really cool thing about how the team dynamic and how you work together. I would love to hear your perspective, since you stayed actually in one organization, how you define the working culture, not as the company, but your definition, how the working culture should be.
Yeah, so my definition of how the working. So I think what's important to have, you know, a strong culture in a company is that you need to have camaraderie, if that's the word.
Yeah.
French educated, I apologize in advance. But basically, I feel like the way, from the moment you enter the company, the way the management receives you, the way the team receives you, the way we interact with each other, the values that the company communicates to the employees and how they demonstrate it will have a reflection on how they're going to act back, right? So if I'm a certain leader and I have certain values, like I'm empathetic, I'm understanding, I'm clear, I know how to give you candid feedback, you know, I'm a no bullshit person, then you would appreciate it, and you would most of the time, I would like to say, it's not an always rule, people will start following that because they know that it works and it makes them feel good, and they'll start acting the same way. So you need to demonstrate the values I feel that you would like to see in others, and usually they will flow into your energy and kind of, you know, run with that vibe. So this is the way I see like a culture building. It could be different for different places, but at OMD, because we spend so much time together, we talk to each other, we're friends as well as colleagues and everything. We kind of had like this strong bond when it comes to work, right? Because we have that trust with each other, we can give each other feedback that is extremely candid and that can help us grow and, you know, push each other to continue to grow within the company and deliver better work. So as long as you have that trust, which starts with obviously empathy, then you're able to kind of have that culture.
I cannot agree more. And I think, again, you tapped on a really interesting point, which is trust. And I think this is what keeps it open. If there is any kind of like positive or negative feedback, to be a little bit constructive, how you communicate with the team, especially in tough times, because this will make you, actually will help you out during the good times and the tough times at the same time. Cool. I think how do you think now, since we mentioned a little bit on the business side, I'm interested to see Jess, how she takes care of herself. And we had several conversations last time when it comes to the mental health and the physical health.
Yeah.
So where's the balance here?
Yeah, so that was a very long journey.
Okay.
I think for anyone to find balance, like you have to go through a lot to try to understand what balance means, first of all, for yourself and how you can achieve it. But obviously it started off with basketball, and that's how sports came into my life. And it was the only thing I was doing. That was the only thing I was focused on until I had like my shoulder surgery. I had a couple of shoulder surgeries, and then I was asked to stop playing just because it kept dislocating, it kept coming out. I kept getting, obviously, worse tears within my ligaments, the rotator cuff, and all of that.
Yeah.
So they're like, you know what, just stop. And for a while after that, I felt it was challenging to understand what I wanted to do next. It took some time, but after that, I found CrossFit. And within CrossFit, when the CrossFit community was growing in Dubai when I had moved here, they started. I never thought about the well-being aspect of things. Of course, sports is always part of my life.
That's
but
true.
For a while, I was just working and not working out, and I started noticing the lack of that challenge and that wellness and fitness that used to give me such a boost. And you know how CrossFit is. It's all about being functional, living a longer and healthier life, being able to move as you grow older and all that, which was the basis, obviously, and the thinking behind the sport.
That's true.
And so that helped me understand the things I needed to do to kind of balance out what was happening at work. I had gained weight, I had lost my track. I was eating unhealthy food. I was working late till like 2, 3 a.m. for a while. The start of a career when you really want to prove yourself.
True.
But then I found CrossFit, and that's like I dedicated, and I'm a problem solver. I'm like, I'm working this insane amount of time per day. I'm like, how am I going to fit this in? And so I put my life on an Excel sheet
Love it.
and tried to find like what are the slots within my day that I can do. And I started to maneuver around it. And I found that the best way to do this is in the morning. I tried afternoon. Sometimes you don't know, work is unexpected. I tried lunchtime, go and come back. That was very hard. And then, but the morning I felt was the best time because no one is awake. No one can reach you. It's your time. It's quiet. It's beautiful to get up with sunrise. I think it's an amazing feeling. And so I started allocating those 2 hours or 3 hours of the day for myself, no matter what. And this is basically how I built that discipline. It was very hard at the beginning because waking up early when you're not used to it was a bit tough because you always said, oh, I'm too tired. All the excuses in your head. I worked late. I'm too stressed. I need to sleep. But kind of overcoming that by just getting up and just doing it, obviously, as Nike famously says it, really does build a habit. And this is basically how I started balancing. But again, like you said, life is life, and it's unpredictable. So sometimes work will take over. Sometimes you focus more on fitness.
That's
and
true.
You need to be able to adapt to the changing, things that are happening within your life, whether it be personal, work, or fitness.
This is practical too, because I think you tapped on a really interesting point to help out basically the people that they are jumping to that journey and they have the excuse of no time. Or we all believe that you have 24 hours, so there is time for that. Take us through the Excel file. I'm interested to see the Excel sheet, how it was laid out and how you squeezed, because if you look into your calendar, you will be able to figure out where to block like 1 hour, 45 minutes, even half an hour. But
100%.
at least you will find this kind of, including commuting, by the way. At least to figure out a place where you can take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So the way I worked it is that I start my day at like 9 or 9:30. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk about the fact that it was impossible to do the luncheon after work. I figured that from the beginning because it very quickly failed. But like I looked at my schedules for the weeks and I started understanding what is the pattern of my meetings, when do they start, when do I need to be there. And then obviously I started calculating backwards how much time by car, literally 16 minutes till I get to the place, train, shower, get dressed, get out. I was measuring everything like I think to the minute. I need 5 or 7 minutes to shower. And after that, I need like 7 minutes to get dressed, put on my makeup, go to work. So I calculated it in that way. But I started small. I started like CrossFit classes are really good to start. At least they were very good for me to start with because they give you that 1 hour strict.
True.
Khalas, you're in at 6, you're out by 7. you don't like chill out, warm up for like 20 minutes, talk to your friends, start your squat, and in between sets you talk for like 10 minutes.
That's
We
true.
didn't have that. It's like, yalla, go start, run, push-ups, burpees,
Yeah.
stretch, get out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very efficient. Started
true.
there. And like from there, I started obviously understanding myself a bit more, starting waking up a bit early as I progressed, obviously, with my habits throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
I started waking up early. I said, okay, you know what? I like to chill a bit more before the workout, spend more time. I would give myself an extra 5 minutes. And
Nice.
then very progressively, I started increasing my time allocated to health.
Mm-hmm.
And started with CrossFit. Then obviously I got into meditation and yoga. So I had to find, time for that. So I did, I think, some courses on energy and healing and meditation. And I was like, okay, now I have this new thing.
Very
How do I
nice.
incorporate it?
Mm-hmm.
And that started becoming my night routine because it doesn't require that amount of time. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You can do it in your car.
Mhm.
Like, it doesn't matter.
I cannot agree more.
Exactly. And I started doing that at night. But you need to understand, like, I spent 3 or 4 years completely obsessed and dedicated to try and become a better human.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't spend any money on traveling. I didn't spend any money on, extravagant, experiences or shopping or whatever. I spent all my money on doing my personal training courses to get to know myself on the physical side of things, on doing energy, healing modalities, meditations to try to understand my mind and my health,
Okay.
and kind of, turn myself into the best human I could possibly be and as happy as I could be. So I think that time and that period really helped me into becoming who I am today, right? And
That's impressive.
that, yeah.
And what made you stop?
I didn't stop.
Yeah, I
I
knew
never
that
stopped.
you are still on the self-discovery, which is
Oh, yeah.
important. This is what I strongly believe because we share the same path, discovering basically the CrossFit, then moving to more like mental and trying to recover from our injuries or any hiccups. But the fun fact that this was, for me, I'm grateful for these because I started to discover multiple areas that how can I improve my life on daily basis. Where the yoga, I'm sure the mental discovery or the mental mastery, I call it now, it's becoming how we can always keep discovering new stuff and new things.
Yeah.
But the question for you now, do you feel, because I'm sure that no one be able to discover himself fully because we grow up, the wisdom comes to the equation.
Yeah.
But do you think that you have the attributes to teach others?
I think I do. I did start teaching yoga for a while and meditation and all of these thinking, but I felt like it took way too much of my time and I didn't have space for that.
I see.
Okay,
Not,
I did it.
Not
I
even
think,
with the Excel file?
not with the Excel file. I did it with the Excel file. I think at what point
Okay,
I
you
was.
squeeze it in somewhere.
Yeah, I think at one day my day was like, I wake up at 4. I train from 4:30 to like 6:30, shower. Then I had 2 personal training clients from 7 to 8, 8 to 9.
Okay.
Shower, go to work till like 6, 7 or whatever it is. And then at night I would have like meditation sessions with others.
Okay.
And can you imagine, like,
I
that
can
was-
imagine this cycle, especially if you sleep early. That works, but it will be, I don't think it's sustainable
Yeah.
somehow.
So I had to let go of my social life. Obviously, my relationship wasn't doing great. And like, so a lot of things suffered.
That's true. It's
I was able to
compromise.
maintain it for a year, but that's it.
I think, yeah, you're totally right because by the end of the day, these things are done to be more, I would say, social.
Yeah.
So if this will have impact on the social life, I wouldn't say it's not worth it. It's a choice.
Yeah.
But it's worth trying. I think you have every individual who has the core. Maybe you can definitely figure out a way how to give this back to others.
Yeah.
Because it's always like in your mind that I've done that. It's quite interesting. But of course, life challenges put us in that roller coaster. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to the health and wellness? I would say. Let's say a big challenge that you faced.
That I faced.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest challenge that I've ever faced when it came to health and wellness was my transition from basketball to others miscellaneous sports.
Okay.
Because as I mentioned, like, basketball was my obsession, and I wasn't joking. Like, when a kid is obsessed with something, that stayed
imagine.
with me till I was like 20. So when that changed and I was told, you know, you can't do that anymore, obviously I think that was like the first heartbreak of my life, like the real heartbreak.
Wow.
But after that, like I had to go through a process of discovery to understand who I was, because like whenever someone asked me like, what do you do, whatever, the first thing I say, you know what, I'm a basketball player. And that's how I identified. That's all I identified as.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very hard and very challenging to overcome that side of things.
I see.
And I started, okay, what does it mean to be an athlete if I'm not really an athlete that's playing, you know, pro level or in Lebanon and like my national team and traveling and doing the Arab championships and all of that? Like, what does that mean to me? Like, for me, everything else felt like it was less, you know? And I felt like that was the biggest challenge, to kind of reframe my brain, to understand that it's not about basically the output, like you're saying, but the journey and how you felt. And so it became I started discovering that what made me happy, what I was looking for in sports.
Yeah.
And in general, what made me feel good. Like I really went by feeling. Like I did this felt amazing. But then I would spend time thinking, why did I feel amazing? Was it the challenge? Was it the sport itself? Was it the people? What is it exactly? And I would continue doing that. I'm very good at analyzing and implementing. I think that's why I'm good at my job.
That's good.
But yeah, I think overcoming that, going into CrossFit was so much fun. I mean, like the community is like a lot of fun. Like I know that it has sometimes a bad reputation, but I don't think everyone understands it clearly for what it is.
I fully agree on this one.
It's misunderstood.
True.
And even those who do it sometimes misunderstand it. But for me, I felt like the community was a lot of fun. I was challenged. I was pushing myself. And that's, for me, felt surprisingly really good. I'm like, oh, I don't need to be playing, you know,
that's true.
A national championship or a regional championship to get this feeling of satisfaction. So doing that really helped me in overcoming that challenge. But that's 1 year of mental, I was down. I was like, you know, where do I go from here? So that was very hard.
Did that impact your self-belief? Was that, okay, you lost something you aspire to?
Yes, for sure. It was definitely a loss. It felt like a loss for me.
Yeah.
It still does. Like I still get, you know, that tear when I watch a basketball. Coach Carter.
Last time I watched you,
whatever.
like we were training together in the powerlifting, and you were watching a game.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what's the score? And you were like so in dive with it.
Yeah. So like I still have that soft spot for it. It's never gonna go.
Yeah, exactly.
But it made me like who I am today. We were just talking about this,
That's
right?
True. Yeah.
Like the things you learn. I'm very grateful for everything I took out of my experience, for all the teammates I've had, all the coaches, all the teams I've played with. Honestly, they taught me a lot, and I think they prepared me for the world I was entering. Whether it be, especially the business world, right? It teaches you how to become a good colleague, a leader, how to manage crisis, stress, the fear of, you know, failing or like losing a game in our case. So all of these things that I've taken out of basketball really, really helped me obviously progress in my career and be who I am right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who I would be without that game.
I love this. Again, we had this conversation about the difference of sport between being like a team sport or like a solo sport. Based on that journey, you have actually still experiencing multiple sports.
Yeah.
Let's do the list. Let me start with the list and you cover the rest. Okay. Because I know that you do the powerlifting.
Yes.
And the cycling, diving, basketballish. Or not
for
much,
fun sometimes.
For recreational. What else? What do you do?
Well, hiking.
Okay.
Yoga. I tried running. I failed miserably.
Okay.
There was no ball. So I couldn't run. I'm like, I need a ball to run. Like, I need to run.
Fair enough. I agree with you. Like,
yeah.
It's I wouldn't say it's boring sport, but it's for me now. I run for meditation. It's like for me, it's the time that I block out from everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can imagine that. It's like, okay, after 10 or 10K, okay.
Oh man, I tried really hard. I don't know how you do it. I have a lot of runner friends that always push me to run, and I'm like, I like 500 meters in, I'm like,
yeah.
I mean, I would run the 5K and the 10K, but like, it's really mentally challenging, not even more mentally than physically. For me, cycling, for example, has that meditation effect.
Yeah.
Because like, you can ride in groups and all of that, but riding alone also has its own kind of meditation. Like, I don't always put music, so it's quiet, and all you hear are like obviously
Your-
the wheels
your-
on the
your
floor,
heartbeat
the
and
wind, the
everything.
heartbeat, and like, you just, go through the wind
Yeah.
and move like really smoothly. So that feeling for me in cycling, that freedom of movement and the speed and sometimes the adrenaline that you get, kind of puts me in that trance that I think people call the runner's high as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what they call
Actually,
it
I
in
feel it after
cycling.
it. It's the same where
Yeah.
the lactic acid and the dopamine. It's for me. I feel it post the activity
Yeah.
where everything rush in, and surprisingly, I come up with a lot of interesting ideas after that.
Yeah.
It's weird. Sometimes I feel the struggle, the challenge at the beginning of the activity.
Yeah.
Again, the CrossFit is something else, but at least running.
Yeah.
But at the end, or basically when I know that I'm done, and on the recovery stage, flows of ideas comes in. This is where it became more like interesting to do it more. All these sports now.
Yeah.
How now with I'm not sure if you're still using the Excel file. I'm really excited to see this Excel
It's all
sheet.
here now.
It's all here now. But how is your daily routine now? Just to structure it.
How do I what? Sorry.
Your daily structure now, daily routine.
Yeah, so my daily routine is usually in the morning I have either cycling or powerlifting, and that's 6 days a week. Then I go to work. After work, I have like a chill out time. I do Ramwad, so like some sort of yoga.
Yeah.
Then yin yoga or usually yin yoga
It's
because
more
I'm
like
tired.
a mobility and stretching.
Yeah, and like holding positions for long times and sitting in the discomfort. And then usually before I go to bed, I would meditate. And that meditation could be anything from just like calming my mind if that's what I need, working through an issue if that's what I need. It could be anything. It could be like, gratitude exercise. It could anything.
Yep.
But I do put time. I would say, I'm not going to say daily, I don't lie, but like at least 5 times a week to do these meditation sessions, whether I'm in bed, on the couch or whatever it is, just to kind of ground myself, because life can be very fast and
True.
you get lost in the speed of it, especially if you're like very highly functional. So it's always good to have that time to, bring yourself back to the center, ground yourself before you go to bed and start the new day. So this is my routine. Sunday, the one day where there's no powerlifting or cycling, it's usually diving, hiking, any new sports I want to try. But most recently, I've been very obsessed with diving. I just love the world.
Yeah?
The sea world. So that's usually what most of my free time goes to. Yeah.
I think my last guest was Natalia.
Okay.
She's a deep diver. She's a world record holder.
Whoa.
She's an impressive lady. I advise you just to listen to her. And we're talking about the deep dive.
Yeah.
And the difference between swimming, scuba diving, and the deep dive.
Yeah.
I think you can give it a shot. I think you'll find yourself an interesting activity there.
Definitely.
Keep it for some days.
Okay. Does she do like
She's
free diver?
She's an instructor.
Okay.
And Deep Dive Dubai. It's really cool. I was like looking to the profile and the activity. I think it's interesting sport to actually discover it.
It's next on my list actually.
Yeah, go for it. It's like,
free diving.
but watch some documentaries about it. You'll understand basically the rush out of it mentally. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the practice before bed, because I used to do basically this kind of mobility before I go to bed and stretching. And in the past 1 year, I started to have this kind of meditative activity before going to bed. It's just when you slide down to the theta stage and you go to bed, I started to be attached to it, because you're right, actually. Sometimes it depends if it's like a gratitude or like cooling down or just like take a couple of breaths and you suddenly, it's like instant, the switch off. It's like you go to bed if anyone having an insomnia. How's your nutrition? I think it's a topic that all of us like. Because you're I would say hyperactive. I would say in condition. So any kind of limitation or challenge when it comes to nutrition, because I'm guilty. I'm enjoy. I have kids, so I don't have any pressure from like drinking or having fast food. How is it? Is it balanced?
Yeah, I guess it's balance. So I do focus on eating well. I did follow once a macro diet. I had a nutrition coach who gave me like my macros to do, and it was amazing, and I got super lean.
Yeah.
but oh my God, it was stressful.
Okay.
Prepping the meals, hitting my, proteins,
Macros
and all of that. And, if I was going out with friends, where are we going? Check the menu. What am I ordering? Can I have a drink? Can I not have a drink? So all of that was very stressful. But otherwise in life, I have obviously my ups and downs, and I try not to let it get to me, because in the past it used to get to me a lot. Like I used to obviously put myself in a guilt trip if I, didn't eat well for a couple of days, or I had like a fast food meal for some reason, and that doesn't help anyone.
That's true.
So I just learned to kind of understand myself and why I was having these splurges, and learn basically how to control them. And if I wanted to have them, like it's fine, right? But I focus more on what's on my plate now in every meal. Like I'll focus on having like the protein, the vegetables, and the carbs. Because I cycle now, I do need to increase a bit more the carb intake versus before, when I was only powerlifting, or like it was much more higher in protein. But I don't have a coach anymore. I have an understanding of how it works. So I have the basic knowledge, and I try to balance it out, and it's been working well. But I do notice the difference in my not in powerlifting, more in cycling. I do notice the difference in how I feel in a certain, ride or workout when I'm eating well that week or I'm not.
I see.
So it's a motivation for me. It's like, do you want to eat this? Are you sure you have a ride tomorrow?
Okay.
So that's not my motivation. It's
That's
more
interesting.
have the food so that you can feel good, rather than for the pleasure of it. You can have the pleasure later, like that's fine.
Yeah, I see your point, and it's a surprise because it applies on all of us. If we're
Yeah.
doing a certain activity, you will see the difference when you consume when and what are you consuming. It makes a total difference. It's one of the things that I noticed recently, that I'm trying to be more aware and looking to my plate, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
and not to take it for granted, in the meaning that I don't do any certain activity while I'm eating. I just enjoy it, and
Yeah.
to try again one of the meditation practice, not to be labeled everything as meditation, but at least I focus on what I'm eating without any kind of restrictions, but at the same time being cautious and spending my time chewing, and it's not to put pressure on the time. So I made peace with that, let's say, with food, not to put any pressure. And of course, the social activities, no restrictions.
Yeah.
As long as I'm keeping 80% of maintaining a good, healthy way, and leaving 20 to 30% of like, let go, chill a little bit.
That's a great percentage.
Yeah.
I think that's more.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around. Unless you're on vacation. But no, even when I'm on vacation, like I try, but no, definitely like 100% aligned with that. Like you need to be able to enjoy it. And I think it goes the same with everything in life. I think that's my main philosophy. Whether it be a sport or the workout or work, if it's something that feels right to you and in line with who you are and what you're feeling, go, do it. But not don't do anything out of spite or, out of guilt or whatever it is. So
I love this perspective, just to live it. And based on this point, what are your aspirations now, career-wise? Let's start.
Career-wise, I think right now I'm at an amazing point in my career. I think the last year and a half, we were just talking about this. Like, I think since 2021, it seems like everything is going crazy. Like, the rush and the amount of work and new projects and the changes that are happening in the digital world are insane, right?
True.
And so I feel like I'm in a place right now where there's like this sort of accelerated growth that's happening. And I feel like I don't have to explain it, but I'm part of that wave. I'm always working, always learning. There's always new projects. And I feel like I'm on the right track from that end. I'm happy where I am. In terms of aspiration, where I want to go, my goal is to continue on growing. Like we said before, I don't have a specific outcome at all times in my head. There are some key milestones I have. Yes, like I need to make senior management or become, the next CEO or whatever it is. Those aspirations are there. But my goal is to continue on growing and evolving. Because if I don't do that, I will never be happy, right? I can always go and switch jobs and to another agency and get a position that's higher or whatever it might be, just because I switched.
Yeah.
But for me, the rush comes more from the growth, the experience, the people I'm working with. So my only aspiration in life is to never stop growing and evolving, whether it be professionally in my career, in sports, in my relationships, I think this is something I strive for. When I feel that that's slowing down, I panic. I'm like, why is this? No, I need something new.
That's
Maybe that's
interesting.
why I have so many sports.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It's I think it comes with the high achievers mentality.
Yeah.
And of course, when you have nothing to do, you feel this kind panic mode
Yeah.
that I'm not performing, or you feel this kind of like self guilt that I'm not to the standard that I set to myself. But I can see basically your energy. I was going to ask you what additional sport you are going to explore, and we discuss the deep dive probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but any aspirations on the sports side, or you are gonna just maintain this kind of like Swiss knife approach to?
No. I think I want to be like, I think part of my goals this year is to really become a better cyclist.
Mhm.
I love the sport because it puts you outside on the roads. When you travel, you can do it anywhere. Like I went to Italy in summer with a couple of friends, and that trip was amazing. And the community and the friends that I've made in that sport are really supportive and
That's
fun.
interesting.
So they're all much stronger than me. So my aspiration is obviously to progress myself and start, enjoying it more and become a better cyclist. I don't think I'll do any races. Maybe I'm not as comfortable as I would like to be for that, but that is my goal. And the second one is free diving or deep diving. That I would like to take up. Feel like the water is a bit too cold now. Might wait till Feb. I know you wouldn't think so.
Actually, yeah, I wanna give you a try for the freezer one day. But
Okay,
yeah, just to
one day.
put you there. Jess, I really enjoyed the conversation. Seriously, it's really cool, and I hope to see you back then at the Desert Bubble Powerlifting.
Of course.
You will slow down a little bit, I know, but
Yeah.
let's keep the conversation. I really enjoy the discussion with you. Where people can find you?
Where you can find me? Well, physically,
Let's break it down this way.
on the tracks
Okay.
at Desert Barbell, or hiking around Fujairah or Ras Al Khaimah or anywhere. But online, I usually have like a more private presence. But on LinkedIn, obviously, you can find me. Like my name is Jessica Machalani. My profile there is all updated with all the information that you need.
Sweet.
But yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jess.
All right.
Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. And again, thank you very much for the online engagement with some of the people that we've been chatting about this podcast. But yeah, we are on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube channel also. So again, thank you, Superhuman Switch podcast. Jess, thank you very much, dear.
Thank you.
Bye.